ग्लोबल स्किल डेवलपमेंट मिशन में आपका स्वागत है।
Now that we know a little bit about the psychological impact that color has, we can start building up a small set of colors to support our design. I know I'm harping on this, but I really want you to think of the typography that you select, the colors that you choose, and the imagery that you select as being supportive of the design's message. If we don't know the message, we're flying blind. We have no idea what we're doing, okay? So I'm going to use the example again, which I used earlier on, warm, cozy comfort. So let me ask you, when you think of warmth or when you think of cozy comfort, what colors do you think of? What comes to mind instantly? I try to find some kind of a starting point that I want to use, okay? So what I'm going to do here, and I'm using Illustrator again, you can use whatever graphics application you're most comfortable in. I'm just going to throw down a rectangle here. And what I'll do is I'll set the fill color for this rectangle to some kind of a starting point. So I want a warm color. I want kind of a, I don't want to sound airy-fairy, but kind of a snuggly, comfy. Think of like a nice warm sweater or a nice comfy Chesterfield that you could flop down on. So I'm thinking maybe oranges or perhaps reds or maybe yellows or maybe taupes, something like that, okay? And again, I'm just kind of starting things off here, just kind of getting myself warmed up. And I keep this really sort of loose, and I try not to put too much conscious thought into it. Maybe something like that, although this does look a little fast food to me, but in any regard, we want to start with something, okay? So I'm going to try and find some kind of maybe a taupe color that I may want to use, something like this, okay? So we're kind of slowly building up this color palette. I have to admit, too, and I readily admit this all the time, I stink at mixing colors, coming up with a set of colors. So in lieu of my lack of ability for actually naturally mixing colors together, I cheat. I use software to help me out. So let's say, for instance, I wind up with, I'm really kind of feeling these two colors here in the middle, and maybe something like that as kind of a third color maybe, or maybe we could drop this guy back even further, but let me at least kind of give you an example of what I might wind up doing. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with this kind of this reddish burgundy color, and I'm really very aware of the communication of fast food here. I definitely don't want that for my nice cozy bakery / coffee house, right? So what I'm gonna do, as I said just a moment ago, is I'm gonna cheat. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make use of Illustrator's color guide panel, which is insanely useful for guys or anyone else who doesn't know how to mix colors. You can find him underneath the window menu. You can head down to color guide, okay? And some of this you may recall from your art class in high school. I'm going to select this guy here. I'm going to make sure that he's active. I'm going to click on that little icon there to set, as it's referred to, as the base color. And if I drop down this menu up towards the top, do you remember this from grade 9 art class? Do you remember monochromatic and triads and tetrads and all this crazy stuff, right, that we've all forgotten? Well, what I could do is I could go, all right, show me some complementary colors for this particular base color that I have set here. Nothing here really, to me anyway, is communicating warm, cozy comfort, so I'm going to move on to the next one. I could go complementary 2. Is there anything in here? Not really. Maybe some of these guys for the taupes that I was thinking of, or sort of the beige colors. I might do something like this. Okay. And by the way, what I did there is I just duplicated out the rectangle and clicked on that color there to fill the duplicate with the new color swatch. Okay. Let me give myself a little bit of space here to work. There we go. Something like this. Okay. All right. So again, it's all about warm, cozy comfort. All right. Now I'm going to make sure that I'm still set on this original base color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on. We could go split complementary. We could go left or right complementary. I'm going to start scanning down through the list, though, keeping in mind this idea of warm, cozy comfort. And I may already have an idea in mind. Again, I know that I want maybe beiges or oranges or perhaps yellows. I'm going to go all the way down to pentagram, and let's see what we have there. There we go. There's some nice colors in there. So what I'll do here is I'll duplicate out this rectangle one more time, and let's start throwing in some of these guys. And I'll duplicate my rectangle again, and I'll just start maybe popping in a few of these guys. I'm not feeling the purples or the blues or the greens, but some of these other warmer colors, definitely. And it's a process. It might take me 10 or 15 or 20 minutes to really kind of come up with a set of colors that might work for me. Okay, and I'm doing this kind of fast, but that's the general idea of how I come up with a color palette. And I might look at this set of blocks or rectangles in Illustrator that I've come up with, and I might go, okay, I don't know what I was thinking with that color, so he's gone. But I definitely like the burgundy and this guy together, and I really like this gold color as well. So then what I might do is I might start going, all right, what would go with the gold? So then I'll make sure that the gold is set as the base color inside the color guide panel. And I would repeat the process. Again, thinking warm, cozy, comfort, high contrast 4. There's some interesting colors in here. Some earth tones and some browns and, things like this, right? And I'll start building out, again, sort of this set of colors like that. And away I go. Okay, what I'm shooting for is really sort of the same idea as we had discussed earlier on with the typefaces. I want just a small set of colors, maybe 2 or 3, maybe up to 5, and then I'm going to kind of put the brakes on. So usually what I go for is some kind of a soft background color, something like this, or perhaps even lighter than that, and then some kind of a primary color, and then some kind of a color that might complement that primary color. Okay, something like this. Okay, in any regard, that's what I do. However, what you may want to do as an alternative, perhaps you don't have Illustrator, or perhaps you want some other options, is you may want to make use of some online tools. There's many of them out there. Adobe Cooler is one such tool. If you head to cooler.adobe.com, you'll wind up here. And what we can do is we can start using the color wheel to try and create a palette of colors simply by dragging these dots around. I'm keeping this super short and sweet, by the way. So again, I'm thinking warm, cozy comfort. So I'm going to head into the warm colors here, perhaps something like this. Again, we can go analogous, we can go monochromatic, triads, and so on and so on. Or what we could do is we could make use of color palettes that other users have created. So if I click on Explore up towards the top here, as you saw I just did, he's going to load in eventually, and we're going to wind up seeing, there we go, a huge array of color palettes that other users of the Adobe Cooler tool have created. So perhaps digital color theme, this guy here, perhaps this is communicating exactly what my message is. Notice when I hover over top of them, I can go and edit them, or I can go and download them and use them in my Adobe products. So in any regard, Adobe Cooler is another option for you if you're having trouble coming up with a palette or a set of colors that you want to use in your designs.